Hello, welcome to The Collision. I'm Daniel Blackaby, and here with me, back by popular demand, is my wife Sarah, and we just got finished watching the new animated film, The Addams Family, so let's talk about it. So the last animated film that we saw together was Abominable, and we both left that movie quite surprised and surprised to have loved it. Does The Addams Family live up to that film?
No. So I kind of measure how long it takes for us to talk about the movie after we leave a movie by how decent the movie was, and we were like in the car and driving on the way home before we even decided to talk about if we liked the movie or not.
Yeah,
so.
we took our two 4-year-old boys, and on the way home we asked, what was your favorite part of the movie? And both of them just sort of stared blankly at us, and finally picked the music at the end of the movie. End credits was their favorite, which tells you about all you need to know about this this movie. How would you describe the sort of the general story of this movie? I have never seen an Addams Family. I'm familiar with the characters and the family, just kind of from pop culture. I think you've seen.
I saw the last one, but that was probably in like '94 or something like that. I'm not sure the year it was out, but which was a real life character. And so it was a little different to go to animated and a kids movie. So it was just a different experience.
Yeah, so adapting this movie from live action, it's kind of a creepy, inherently creepy story. It's kind of spooky. It's the reason it's coming out around Halloween. Did you, as far as this for kids, I know parents will be wondering, do you think this was too scary for our boys? Was it, it's a dark movie.
Yeah, we actually asked the boys after the movie if they thought it was scary, and then neither of them really thought it was. I didn't think there was any there was no gory scenes or but they seemed to be okay with it. There wasn't anything super spooky or super scary in it.
Yeah, I think it's been toned down a bit from the original. This sort of, it plays on kind of the Halloween vibe, haunted house. The characters are all kind of like downers and obsessed with inflicting pain on themselves and shooting each other with arrows, but it's played in like a fun.
Yeah, and they kind of put a spin on it, so it wasn't like scary, but it was still like dark and mysterious. But it wasn't like, I don't know, I wasn't like blood and gore
Well, so what about just like how would you describe the story as far as what's the plot of this movie?
It followed the Addams family as they tried to find a new home because they were run out of their last
torches and pitchforks and
last home, and so they find this asylum, creepy house on the hill, and kind of settle in and build a family and have their kids there, and then they kind of have seclude themselves, and then a town is built down below their mountain they're living on, and
it's like a reality. They're pulling off like a reality TV show. I don't watch those shows in real life. The kind of building these houses, kind of home fixer-uppers, kind of selling this whole town. So it's all, the town's all perfect, and all the people are perfect and kind of done up nice. And then, all of a sudden the clouds and the fog kind of dissipates, and they find that right next to this perfect, clean, polished town is this crazy asylum filled with crazy people. And so the story is kind of, as you would expect, kind of the crash of these two worlds and how these two very different kind of groups of people are going to relate to each other, and kind of the lessons that they'll learn in doing so. As far as kind of the main theme, there's really not a whole lot of depth to this movie. It's not saying anything profound or necessarily new. And it's certainly not saying anything subtle. This is kind of a very preachy, kind of whack you over the head with its message. It doesn't leave any ambiguity about what it's trying to make you feel or think.
The town's name was Assimilation.
Yeah, and it's, they're singing songs almost like the Lego movie as far as, why be yourself when you can be just like everybody else. Kind of the whole theme that kind of runs throughout the movie, and it's handled in two different ways, more of a personal scale and more as like a political commentary, which was a little bit much, but it's sort of this theme of accepting and kind of embracing the fact that we're different, kind of embracing the weird. I feel like that's what the Addams Family has kind of always been about, is just they're weird and
They're okay with
they're
it.
okay with it. Yeah, so the characters in the film, the Addams Family, when they finally kind of come down to the town to meet their neighbors that they weren't familiar with, as you would expect, the townspeople are kind of freaked out by the Addams Family, calling them monsters and freaks, and don't know how to relate to them. The Addams Family, doesn't know how to relate to these normal people that aren't dark and into all this creepy stuff. And kind of throughout the film, both sides in their own way, I would say, kind of have to learn to accept people that are different from them more strongly. The townspeople that kind of have to kind of learn to embrace the Addams Family, that they are human people. They are, they should be respected. They're individuals. They're not just freaks like they initially think, and kind of less, because the Addams Family deals with this a bit too, right?
Yeah, which I thought was kind of nice, because a lot of times you see it only from the one side, but they were also inside the family were dealing with like how they thought that the children should act and be, as opposed to how they wanted to be. And so there was a little bit of that, which was nice to see, that it wasn't all just the like outside people.
Yeah, you kind of have the townspeople adapting to kind of accommodate the Addams Family. Then you also have like the Addams Family, the older generation, kind of adapting to the two younger kids as they kind of modernize and kind of embrace the differences even within the kind of the weirdness, that they're still individuals, and the parents need to learn to allow their children to be who they are, even if it doesn't quite fit in with sort of the tradition of the Addams Family, which is, I think it's a good message for kids to hear, to be exposed to. There is a sense, coming at this movie as an adult and kind of just knowing the kind of the cultural and political climate, it's pretty heavy-handed too, as far as it's kind of dealing with trying to make a statement about immigration and sort of the way we kind of monsternize or demonize the immigrants and how they come, and we have, we're supposed to find empathy, and which obviously as our kids aren't gonna, they're not picking that up, but it's definitely there, and quite, which isn't in itself is not a bad message either, but it's just handled in a way that just becomes a little tiresome. Well, in the end, I think maybe the best way to sum it up is, I told Sarah on the way home, I said this is about an hour and a half movie that felt like a 2.5 hour movie. It doesn't reach the levels of like a Angry Birds 2 as far as just, real crude, and it's not like an offensive movie. Mm-hmm. We weren't angry about this movie like some other kids' movies that just sort of that are real obnoxious and kind of crude and vulgar. It's just kind of a meh movie. It's not exciting. I think there's maybe only one scene, which we won't ruin it for you if you're seeing it, that made us chuckle out loud. The rest of it's just sort of sitting back and just sort of watching this dull kind of plodding story that's trying to share a message that's so over the top and heavy-handed and just not an enjoyable journey to get there, that it's at least for me, it was just sort of a tedious experience.
And also, I would say, like, artistically, we just watched Abominable the other day, or a few weeks ago, and just kind of comparing the animation style, I was not a huge fan of the animation in this movie, and I didn't.
Yeah, it felt a lot more like the kind of movie you would, like, around October, that would pop up on Netflix, kind of made by some studio you've never heard of, and, you might put it on for your kids, and they'll watch, for 45 minutes and then get distracted. It definitely didn't feel like it was worth paying the money to go to the movie theater and seeing it on the big screen and paying for, a jumbo popcorn or anything. It just sort of felt small scale. So I think in the end, you can probably guess, but I'll ask anyways, is this a recommend or a skip from you?
I feel like I would rent it at home, or not. I don't know if I would even pay money to rent it at home. I would watch it for free on Netflix at home, but I don't know if I'd pay any money.
Yeah, that's probably more than I would do. I think there's a lot of movies. There's some other good ones coming out later this year, animated kids movies, family films. If you want to see a movie you haven't seen, Abominable, go watch that. There's a lot better movies. This one just felt it was boring, didn't have a lot of depth, wasn't saying a whole lot. Tried to get into some kind of political, real-world commentary that just sort of felt heavy-handed and a little obnoxious. So in the end, I think don't bother with this one. But hey, if you do decide to check this movie out, if you have kids that need some entertainment and you find yourself at the movie theater, let us know your thoughts. We'd be curious to see if you enjoyed this more than we did, if you found some kind of more redeemable stuff than we were able to find. And if you haven't done so yet, we encourage you to subscribe to this channel to keep up with all our video contents like this video. I want to thank you for watching and hope you'll continue to collide with your world for Christ. Da-da-da-da-da.